Your business on 1059 The Region.
It's that time of year again, the Worst Roads campaign, and it is put in spring on purpose because that's when we really notice what winter has done to our roads. Teresa de Felice joins me now from CAA. They are the ones, of course, who sponsor this wonderful campaign. I call it a wonderful campaign because I'm a traffic nerd, and I love the fact that you are giving a voice to the motorist.
Hi, Kevin. Yes, it is a popular campaign and it's a popular topic. We did a survey in January of this year, and 72% of Ontarians say they're talking about bad roads. They're just talking about it with their spouse or their family and friends. They're not talking about it with local decision makers or local politicians who have the power to fix the roads.
And that's what happens with us, right? We complain and complain and complain, but we don't complain to the right people. So this is definitely a chance then for people at least to have their complaint heard by the right people.
Correct. Not only are those municipalities or politicians sort of looking to see what bubbles up to the surface, but at the same time, CAA's advocacy team kicks into action, and we do a lot of work throughout the year on this issue. We're raising these roads at budget meetings and budget conversations or consultations, and highlighting this issue about the need for investment in infrastructure and getting the roads fixed, and in particular on the roads that made it to the top 10 or the top 5 in the regions.
You have a good advantage this year. We're coming into an election year, and if you want to try and get money out of a politician, this is the time to do it.
For sure. There have been several announcements about putting money into infrastructure. And I would say it's twofold this year. One is the election and yes, politicians and the way, politics sometimes works is they want to show their investments that they've making over a long term and what they've been working on since they've been elected the last time and why you should elect them again. And so that's a key priority. But we're also coming out of, 2 very difficult years of a pandemic. And, the economy has taken a bit of a hit at times. There's a lot of other things happening in the world. Investing in infrastructure and fixing roads creates jobs. It's good for our economy. And it's the source of how we all get around and our goods and services are delivered.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. What kind of victories have you had with this campaign over the last 18 years?
So it's exciting because we see success with the campaign in several different forms. Last year, the road that made it to the top of Ontario's list was Victoria Road in Prince Edward County. And, it was a grassroots movement. A local farmer and some residents just were determined to have that road fixed. And so they put up a big road sign on private property and encouraging anybody going by and the local community to vote for Victoria Road in the Worst Roads campaign. And they were so successful that it did make it to the top of the list. That region came out and said that they were investing quite a bit of money into fixing 75 kilometers of roadway in the region. That announcement came shortly after the Worst Roads list came out. And they're not the only one. Windsor, we saw the same thing. Lawson Parkway, was on the regional list. The mayor came out in June and dedicated $8 million to fixing that road over the next 16 months from June. These are success stories where people want to be seen to be acting on what they're hearing from their constituents and the communities and want to fix those pain points.
And it also reminds us that Ontario stretches beyond the GTA. We definitely, vote rich GTA gets all the attention, but we forget that there's Windsor and London and Peterborough and Ottawa and Sudbury and North Bay and Timmins as well.
Yeah, it's a big campaign, which is why we put out an annual Ontario Worst Roads list. So, what bubbled up to the top 10. But, we recognize that sometimes population size means you could have, voting power just to have, once upon a time, most of the roads on the list were all from Toronto or the GTA. But now we see these movements where people are using the campaign to their advantage to highlight their pain points, to highlight, what they want echoed to decision makers. And so some of these grassroots movements within communities to get roads highlighted are working. And so They're not all GTA based or Toronto based. And the actual fact that we do a regional list covers off to make sure that the people who are taking the time to vote know that they've been heard as well.
Do you find sometimes that it's much easier to pass the buck when it comes to our roads, just because it can fall under so many different jurisdictions, such as, let's use Highway 7 through York Region as an example. There are some portions of it that are provincially run. There are some portions that are run by the region. There are some portions that are run by local municipalities as well. And so do you find yourself going somewhere and say, well, that not my jurisdiction?
It has happened in the past. An old favorite on the Ontario Worst Roads list was Steeles Avenue. And Steeles Avenue ran through several municipalities and who had to really coordinate to fix that road. And there were so many issues going on. Obviously, cross-border, even within municipalities can be challenged by a whole range of topics and negotiations. And so that road was on the list for several years because it became a little bit of a hot potato in terms of the negotiations or what needed to be done to fix that stretch of road. We also see this between some roads that are regional government versus municipal, or regional government versus senior levels like provincial or federal. So those ones can be a little bit harder to address in a much quicker time frame, but they do happen.
Now, the provincial government recently announced $1 billion over 5 years for road improvement. Is that enough?
It's a great investment, and obviously, just by your listeners and a lot of people in Ontario, more is always good. We are a little bit limited in terms of the stretch of time because of winter of when we can fix roads. We do have a big deficit in this province, and it's really hard on municipalities to put a lot into it on any given year. They've got lots of other demands. The municipal government covers a lot of responsibilities, and the tax base doesn't grow as quickly as the other levels of government, or it doesn't grow by as much. Otherwise, we'd all be squawking about another problem, which would be very significant property taxes. And so this is why CAA also advocates to senior levels of government to create sustainable funding that municipalities and regions can depend on, either in timed limits like 5-year periods, or not so much based on an application, but just recognizing that the majority of roads are under municipal jurisdiction.
And how can people vote?
So, you can vote from your mobile device, you can vote from your computer. You would go to CAAworstroads.com. You have until April 19th to do so. Don't do so while you're driving, be safe. But we want to make sure that you're not driving distracted, but you can also upload pictures if it's a road you frequent and happen to be able to get out of your car safely and take pictures, or you can vote using the Google service on the website.
All right, Teresa, thank you so much for this.
My pleasure.
Teresa de Felice from the CAA.
We appreciate your business. We are 1059 The Region.